let's see what problem solving in Gradarius looks like from a student's point of view. What we're looking at here is the Gradarius problem solving screen, which contains an exercise that is asking us to find the equation of the tangent line to a particular curve at a particular point. And as you'll see, what we're going to be able to do is structure our solution in a fully free-form manner, almost like we're working on paper. And Gridarius, all the while, will be checking our work and providing real-time feedback as we go. To begin writing mathematics, we actually have a couple options. One thing we can do is click within this workspace here to create a new cell where we can enter math. And there are also a couple options for doing that. We could, over here on the right, actually make use of symbol panels to enter mathematical notation. And there are notation panels here for algebra, trigonometry, calculus, vectors, and more. But really the easiest way to enter mathematics is simply by using the keyboard. So let me close this side menu and just demonstrate what it's like to type in an equation. If I want to type something like x cubed, I simply have to hit the caret key on my keyboard. If I want to type a trigonometric function like cosine, I simply type COS, and so on. So entering mathematics is very natural and intuitive. To begin this particular problem, we're actually going to try yet another approach that's also very intuitive. So since we want to find the derivative of this function, I will click on it with the mouse and then type the word derivative with my keyboard. And after doing that, Gradarius actually gives me an action that will set up the appropriate derivative notation. And we simply have to indicate the variable of differentiation here and then lock in our work. And we're now prepared to continue our solution. So we're going to hover our mouse over the equal sign, select rewrite, and then actually enter the actual derivative. To create a fraction, I will type a / on the keyboard, and we're now going to use the quotient rule, right? So by the quotient rule, this should be 2x times x plus 1 minus x squared all over x plus 1 squared. Let's say, however, that we make a very typical student mistake and forget to square the denominator in applying the quotient rule. If we try to enter this work, then Gridarius will immediately flag our work as a mistake, and it's also going to give us feedback about what went wrong. So if I click on the red information icon here, Gradarius gives me feedback in a couple different stages. So first it tells me that something's off with my derivative, but if I click on show me more, it actually indicates the precise nature of the mistake. It says, oh, it looks like you forgot to square the denominator while applying the quotient rule, and it reminds us of what the quotient rule looks like. So armed with this feedback, we can now go back and correct our mistake, and we now get some positive feedback from Gradarius indicating that we have entered an essential step of the solution, letting us know that we're on the right track. I'm going to go back to this cell one more time and actually make a different kind of mistake. So let's suppose that we don't have this 2 in front of the x in the numerator. If I try to save my work, then once again Gradarius immediately indicates that we've made a mistake. But this time the feedback is going to be different. So when we click on the information icon, Gradarius now tells us that something is off with our derivative of a power function. And clicking on show me more, we learn that we evaluated the derivative of x squared as x in the course of applying the quotient rule, which is incorrect. And sometimes these feedback messages even link to some notes that we can read to help us brush up on a particular topic. So the point is that even if students make different kinds of mistakes, Gridarius is always ready to recognize the kind of mistake and provide relevant feedback. All right, we're going to correct our work once again. And now that we have the derivative, what we want to do is begin working towards the equation of the tangent line. So we're going to have to evaluate this function in the problem statement at x equals 1. And one way we can do that is by selecting the portion of the function that we're interested in and copying it to a new row and replacing x with 1. This, of course, is just equal to 1/2. And another thing that we're going to want to do is, of course, evaluate our derivative at x equals 1. Let me show you another way that we can do that. We can simply select those two expressions on the screen with a click of a mouse. And since we want to evaluate one at the other, we can type the word evaluate with our keyboard and actually have Gradarius do the arithmetic for us. All right, so Gridarius is really very flexible in how it allows you to structure your solution. And we're now prepared to enter the equation of the tangent line that we're after. I'm going to once again create a new cell and now write down the equation of the tangent line that we want. So it's going to be y equals 1/2 plus 3/4 times x minus 1. We'll save our work, and we can submit this answer, or if we want to get a little extra assurance that this answer is correct, I can actually select it. I can select the function in the problem statement and graph these guys to make sure that the tangent line behaves as expected. So I'm just going to type the word graph with my keyboard. Gridarius once again recommends an action that we can use, in this case, to plot both curves. And sure enough, by zooming in on the point 1, it looks as though we have found the correct tangent line. And the only thing that remains now is to actually submit our answer. So I'm going to select this tangent line, scroll to the bottom of the screen, and submit it into the final answer space with the click of a mouse. We then select check my answer, and after we do that, Gradarius will give us an overview of our solution and our score. Another really nice feature of the software is that it will assign partial credit. So even if our answer contained a small mistake, but we had entered some of these essential steps, Gradarius would not give us a score of 0, would actually assign some meaningful partial grade. As an instructor, you can disable the real-time feedback that Gridarius gives and choose to let students see that only after they submit their answer. So Gridarius actually functions as a wonderful tool for practicing problems where you get immediate feedback along the way, or as an assessment tool where students solve a problem without feedback and only get the feedback after they submit a solution. This is the basic problem-solving workflow in Gridarius.